My name is John Osborne and I'm a writer, which is why I've always been interested in the writer John Osborne, but the other one, the older one, the one people have heard of. I've always been aware that I shared my name with a famous playwright. When I was little, occasionally grown-ups would say to me things like, oh, make sure you don't look back in anger, and then laugh, like assuming that a little kid is going to understand the literary reference. So it's always been one of those annoying things, but actually a lot of the time people just haven't been aware of the other John Osborne, or just assume that we're two different people, and that I was more concerned with playing out with my friends than wanting to change the face of 1960s theatre. My dad, a literary guy fond of books and plays, totally forgot about the other John Osborne when he was naming me. He's always thought of it as a good thing. He thinks it sticks in people's minds, and maybe it's what made me want to be a writer in the first place. I don't know. All I know is I've wanted to be a writer for about as long as I've been called John Osborne. And I've grown to enjoy the dual Osborneage. I'm in my early days of being a John Osborne fan. Like him, I've always felt remorse for the loss of theatres and ballrooms and dance halls. All across the country, in the dance halls of industrial towns and cities, there was the juxtaposition of people linking arms in dance halls, initially with the threat of World War, and then its realities, and then its memories and repercussions. These buildings were places of laughter and applause and music and an era of entertainers because people so desperately needed to be entertained. Summer seasons with Max Miller, Sid James, Gracie Fields, when hundreds of thousands of holidaymakers would escape from their factories and queue all the way down from the train station, down the promenade, waiting patiently in line to get onto the beach. And they go to the piers and pavilions and palladiums. So many of those buildings are gone now. They are car parks or Wetherspoons or Tesco Metros. Lido's and Winter Gardens have been concreted over. The buzz has gone. The electricity of holidays is a thing of the past, and that generation of entertainers is long gone. And we are all worse off with those destroyed buildings. Empty spaces where so many beautiful moments once happened. What strikes me about the world of The Entertainer and Look Back in Anger is the fascination with what people do in their front rooms, the way people live in their houses, the way they talk to each other when the front door's closed, what they care about, what makes them sad or scared. It's messy and domestic. And that's what I've always loved in the things that I've chosen to watch on television. This Is England and Shameless and even Coronation Street. Honest portrayals of human relationships. John Osborne locked into how so many people were actually feeling in a way that had not been done before. All their dysfunction, anger and pain, which is why his plays resonated so strongly with audiences at the time who had only ever really experienced plight theatre on stage. These days we're used to kitchen sink dramas, but at the time it must have been a bewildering event to witness. Almost the equivalent of seeing an actor break the fourth wall now and breaking out of character and being themselves for a moment. The audience stunned, but they're not supposed to be doing that. It must have been frantic and exciting, and on the way out of the theatre, the audiences must have been bewildered and confused and excited, and in the next few days they'd tell their work colleagues and friends, "You'll never guess what we saw the other night at the theatre." John Osborne was part of a group of like-minded, disaffected writers who revolutionised British culture in the 1950s, who wrote because they wanted the audience to feel something. They wanted to get you stirring inside. He described his style as something that might make some people angry, make them more conscious of life and what's going on, more conscious of themselves. I went to watch The Entertainer at the Garrick Theatre a few nights ago, and there's a section just after the interval where Archie starts to list things that make him angry. And my first collection of poetry was called Most People Aren't That Happy Anyway. And I sat there in the theatre and I wondered whether it was the kind of title that John Osborne would have approved of. I thought maybe it would have been a title that him or one of the other angry young men might have used for one of their plays. All of these kind of collection of writers who were so dissatisfied with what they had, and they wanted to bring this bitterness and anger onto the stage. And audiences responded to that sadness and the bitterness and the frustration, because John Osborne understood that there's no point in a scene existing if it doesn't make people feel sad or angry, if it doesn't make them feel something inside. And that's what writing is. That is what makes writers want to write, or the good writers anyway. I love any writer who writes with pathos, and John Osborne did it so beautifully. His need to say something is still evident. That determination is still there on the stage, and I guess it's something that will never go away. His getting on with the job without making a fuss attitude is a way of coping with failure without despair. It's the only way he can keep going, the only way he knows how, having a go. And that's all writing and life is about, really. And it's the one similarity I'm proud to have with him. I have a go. I have a go.